Here with Concordia head baseball coach Ryan Dupic to preview the 2016 season. Last year was a season for you and players to kind of get a feel for things in your first year here. How satisfied were you with what you were able to get accomplished that first year?
Yeah, I think within the construct of the whole year, I think it was pretty good. We certainly had a lot of positives off of last year, and I think both in terms of wins and losses, but also just in terms of building things within, and so I think we were pleased with the positive direction that we took. I think we fell a little bit short in terms of our goal of getting into the conference tournament and climbing up within the conference standings a little bit, and that's kind of transitioned to a big goal for us this year. But all in all, as I look back at it, I think the senior class did a really nice job. We were very pleased with the effort and commitment that they made, and I think it was definitely a step in the right direction, but we're certainly hoping to speed this process up and transition a little more now.
Sure. Now that you have that full year under your belt, how much differently did you approach this off season? Maybe there were some things that you could implement that you couldn't do when you first got here.
Yeah, I felt significantly more prepared. We really wanted to do a lot of things last year, but you're just getting to know kids, getting to know guys so much, and so to have like a whole summer to really have been through everything for a full year and understand what our strengths and weaknesses are within the program, and just really kind of brainstorm and start from square one was really beneficial. So we've done things a lot differently in many facets this year. We have a much clearer vision, I feel like, this year, within our players and our coaching staff. We did fall ball a little bit differently this year. We've done the off season a little bit differently. I mean, we've made little tweaks here and there. I think as a base, I think we're probably still pretty similar in terms of what we want to stand for, but I think we just have a clearer idea of what that needs to look like.
Now, the majority of your starting position players from last year are back this year, along with some of the guys you bring in. How intense has the competition been for starting spots?
Yeah, it's really it's very intense. We're a couple weeks out from first game, and there are multiple spots that I'm a little bit unclear on yet at this point. I think it's been really healthy. It's been good, healthy competition. The guys have really competed well and tried to get better, and I think we've kept it within the team, which has been outstanding, and I think the selflessness has been really good. But yeah, there's multiple spots out there that we're still trying to figure out who the best guy is for us, and I think honestly we'll need to get a couple guys out there even in games before we can really decide as we get into the conference season who the best options are. But I think that's definitely something that's much improved. I think we have a lot more options and depth, and I think that's only going to help us get better.
I think one of the reasons why the team was able to take a jump from 2014 to 2015 was defensively. Things were better, 39 fewer errors compared to the previous year. I know you weren't around for that year, but what do you think went into that improvement defensively?
Yeah, it was really just something that we emphasized from the beginning. We felt if we weren't able to defend, that we just couldn't be in. You can't be in baseball games if you can't defend, and so that was something we really talked a lot about. Specifically within our infield, we wanted to be much cleaner in those areas. Coach Gene Epp does an excellent job with our infielders. We really kind of went out and just tried to seek out information, really make sure we were teaching the guys the right things, and I thought we made a couple changes too. I think defensively and shifting guys around, and had some new guys at different spots, but I think ultimately I think we just had a little bit better plan and structure to being able to continue to grow and get better. And I think some other guys had some experience too. You had some guys on the right side of the infield that were back from the past, and I think we're probably a little bit better than the years before. So it's continued to be an emphasis for us. Right now I feel like it's a strength area of ours. I really feel like we should be good defensively, whereas last year I think we were just much improved. We're really hoping for that to be a big strength area for us.
And I think having center fielder Alex Alstott certainly helped defensively. First team all-conference last season. Arguably the best offensive player in the conference. What can we expect from him in 2016?
Yeah, I thought about that a lot with Alex. I mean, he obviously was fantastic last year, and he's just such a dynamic athlete. He's someone that's going to turn your head, whether it's defensively, offensively, on the base pass. So he can do so many things well, And for me, what I'm really hopeful of is that we're able to create an offensive balance a little bit around him, so that I look back at the box scores and stuff from some of the games last year, and there were some doubleheaders in league play where he really carried our offense, and maybe we got a good pitching game that day, and we look back offensively, and maybe we didn't really swing it great, but Alex had a really good day and kind of carried us. And so this year I'm hoping that he can go in with a peace of mind and saying, I just need to go play well. I don't have to be somebody that has to get a hit every time or feel any extra pressure or anything like that, which is a hard way to play offensively. So I really want him to just go play and go be who he is. Baseball's a hard enough game. I don't want to put any extra stress and strain on him or pressure or anything like that. He's a really good player. If he just goes and trusts himself and does what he's capable of, he'll have another really good year.
Going through the infield a little bit, as far as starters from last year, Zach Cambier was at first base most of the year. He's really the only guy you lose. Kind of walk us through what we'll see there in the infield.
Yeah, we've kind of moved some people around a little bit just to continue to try to make some progress both offensively and defensively. We've transitioned Caleb Geiger over to first base, and he's done a nice job there. We have Tyler Nelson, who also played a little bit and was really unfortunate, kind of had a shoulder issue as the conference season approached last year that really set us back a little bit offensively. So he's getting some repetitions in there. And then we also have a transfer guy, Christian Montero, who catches a little bit and also can play a little bit of first base. So, yeah, we'll have somebody new at that spot. I think Alex Cargan will be pretty steady for us at second base. And then we've transitioned Casey Berg over to third base. It was really more of his natural position when he came in last year. He filled a gap for us at shortstop and did a really nice job. And so there's some competition within some of those other spots. Shortstop Logan Ryan, a freshman, and Josh Mon, a junior, are both doing a really nice job. And I think of both. I think Logan's really settled in and done a really nice job and is a very steady defender. I think Josh is really starting to come into his own and be a little bit more comfortable. So I think both are guys that will press for playing time. We'll have opportunities as we go, but I think we're finally starting to maybe mesh some people into some positions that I think defensively they're going to be a lot more comfortable, and I think offensively we can have a little bit of a jump as well.
And in the outfield, we already talked about Allstott. Might we see in the other two spots? I know you've got some other guys back with experience, Taylor Dudley, Taylor Begant. Who else might we see?
Yeah, there's a lot of guys last year that showed at times an ability to be really good for us, and then other times maybe weren't as consistent as we would have liked them to be. And we need offensive production out of the corner spots. Having Alex in the middle is a really good benefit for us, but we look around the league a little bit and did our research last year and just could tell that maybe we weren't as good offensively as we needed to be in those corner spots. I think when you look at the pulse of the entire year, we were okay, but in conference play it just wasn't quite good enough. So we're really looking for some guys to really get better and improve. I think Taylor Dudley's a guy that that hopefully can take the steps and continue to be better. I think Taylor Begant showed some things at times. Jacob Adams is a transfer guy that I think is very athletic and can do some really good things for us. And kind of depending on how that first base slot ends up between first base and DH, and knowing we have a couple of guys there that we like. Tyler Nelson's a guy that we've tried in the outfield just a little bit as well, just to provide some flexibility offensively. So I think all those guys will compete and will have an opportunity to kind of show what they do, and whoever can be the most consistent will be playing a lot once the conference season rolls around.
And quickly with the catcher position, Ryan Fesmeyer's got a lot of experience. Break down that position a little bit.
Yeah, he's been awesome. I mean, he came back in the fall and he was better than he was last spring, and I thought he did a really nice job last spring. He is just so steady defensively. I think our pitchers have the highest level of trust in him and love to throw to him. He's very, very selfless and service-oriented with our pitching staff, so we feel really comfortable with him back there. As mentioned before, Christian Montero is a very good offensive player and shows a lot of flashes defensively. He's just continuing to clean some things up there. And then another transfer kid, Drew Woods, who's a nice player, a very good athlete. We have a lot of competition really at that catcher spot, and I think the nice thing is I'm kind of walking through that, you can see that we at least have some versatility to move some guys around according to maybe who's swinging it well, who's feeling good, and who's doing the right things defensively.
Having been a college pitcher yourself not that long ago, I know it's a priority.
Seems like a long time ago.
Yeah. just a few years ago.
Yeah.
I know it's a priority of yours, though, to build a deep pitching staff. Why don't we start with a couple guys who did pretty well last year as freshmen, Taylor Bickle and Neil Ryan. What made them effective so early in their careers?
Yeah. I just think they're high character guys. I mean, they have a very firm understanding about who they are. Their work habits are amongst the best on our pitching staff. Neil has very good stuff. Spins the ball very well. I think really got on a roll at the beginning of the season. I think as the end of the conference season hit, he ran into a few bumps, but I thought competed pretty well to finish. Taylor Bickle, from beginning to end, he and J.D. Jurgensen were probably our most consistent starting pitchers the entire year. I just have so much respect for Bick. He's a guy that really knows how to compete. I think the last game of the season was a really good indicator of that. He gave up a couple runs in the first inning against Midland and then pitches into the 10th inning, with all zeros the rest of the way. So he just really knows who he is. He's got a good fastball changeup combination. I think he's better now than he was last year, which is encouraging to see. And I think you can say the same thing about Neil Ryan. So we'll definitely be relying on those two guys to kind of provide a little bit of a foundation for us, and hopefully we can get the others to come along as well too.
Yeah, who are some of those other guys we might see?
Yeah.
I know Mark Harris and Josh Prater were guys who threw the ball well last year too.
Yeah, Mark's been excellent. He's been really good here over the past 2 to 3 weeks. Worked through some things, with his arm a little bit in the off season, but he was really good last Saturday. I'm really excited to see him continue on with that. He's actually pressing us a little bit. He was a great closer for us last year at the end of the year, but we're really still trying to figure out what to do with him, whether he's a finisher or a starter. We've got Josh Prater, who finished really strong last year, is a guy that started a little slow this fall and has been catching up a little bit, but it's starting to come back for him a little bit. And we have a lot of new guys who I think are going to press into that as well. We have some transfer guys like Todd Obertine and Casey Hall, who I think can do a really nice job, spin the ball pretty well, good competitive guys, and Nick Seaman. There's a lot of them, Cole Thomas, and I think we're seeing a lot of other guys that are returning that are continuing to get better. A lot of freshmen that I think have a chance to do some really good things for us as well. Josue Melcher and John Mellon and Jared Shipper, and there's just a lot of guys in there in the mix right now that are competing, and so I think probably right now, as challenging as the position player thing has been, really figuring out where everybody meshes together as a pitching staff would be our biggest challenge. But I think the thing that we feel really good about is that we have a significantly greater depth than we did a year ago. I'm not sure what we have yet in terms of starting pitchers, relief pitchers, and how that's going to mesh yet, but I think we'll figure that out as we go. Tanner Wahb's another guy who's been good. I mean, there's I'm probably forgetting a couple of them, quite frankly. There's a lot of guys that are in the mix and competing right now, and we're going to go assess them all and see how it goes.
You mentioned some transfers. Allstott was a junior college guy who worked out really well. How important is it to have those connections with the junior colleges? I mean, how key has that been building
great.
Your program?
Yeah, it's been great. I've got some good friends and guys that are really good coaches at some junior colleges in Iowa, and we've been able to connect with them and get some guys that are really good fits for here. It's been great. They're fantastic culture guys. They're really hard workers. They're great kids, and they're going to help us. They're guys that know how to pitch and that know how to get outs, and Christian was another transfer guy as well, and Jacob Adams, and just spent some time developing some relationships with some of those coaches and some of those players from the past, and I think we've been fortunate to start to see some fruits come out of that now. But I think it speeds the process up a little bit. I think it freshmen are guys that we're always excited about getting. I think can make really good impacts. You always feel like that maybe the junior college guys or transfer guys can maybe do that a little bit faster sometimes, and that certainly differs by the guy, but it's been a facet we've been looking into, and we're going to continue to.
Now that you've got a feel for the GPAC and the local baseball landscape here, how do you measure success now in your second year?
Yeah, I think a lot of different ways. I think it's time for us to win more within the league. We need to be more competitive in the league. I think we can even measure it just in terms, sometimes it's hard to measure it this way, but I think our culture is significantly improving. I think guys are becoming more competitive. They're starting to understand what we need to do on a daily basis to get better. every day I go to practice, I'm really excited to be there, and I think that as a coach is one of the best compliments that you can give your team is just knowing that the guys are going to show up, they're going to work hard, they're going to enjoy being around one another, and just seeing those guys start to come together in that way is really exciting. And so that's a little bit harder to put a number on. We hope that obviously that takes shape in the wins and losses, but it's time for us to climb a little bit in terms of the GPAC. We need to get better within that conference season, and that's the next phase for us.